Hi there. How are you today? Today we're going to try something a little bit different. I appreciate you coming in. We are going to film an entire guitar routine, a practice routine. I've included these things in my guitar practice since 97 or something like that. Probably in the university, probably in music school. But they are old friends now, and it's a great warm-up, and I would encourage you to do the same. Before we start playing these things together, you can go ahead and download the tablature for these exercises in the video description below. You could buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Jason Carey Guitar, JASONCAREY GTR. You'll need a metronome as well. We will also need a tuning fork. I use one of these. It's an A440. And you'll hear from this in a few seconds. The metronome, I'm going to use just one that I use on my phone here. It's the old Pro metronome, and it looks like this. It's a great metronome, and I think you'll like it. Maybe I spent some money on it. I forget now. But we're only going to use 4 beats per measure, and we are going to use quarter notes. So I had it set on 7/8 because I like to practice other time signatures. But we are not going to set a beat where there's one dominant. We're going to make all of them the same, so they should all be at the same level. We can tap each one so that you can't see it probably from here, but you can tap each beat and it gives it a different value, a loudness value. And we are going to make all of them the same. I'm going to dial the wheel back so that it's about 80 beats per minute, and that's where I practice all of my things now, for the most part. That's where I do this exercise. So you're likely to hear this throughout. And if metronomes bother you, this is not the video for you. But the metronome is a tool that we make use of to improve ourselves, improve our time, internal time. And internal time is important because I have a friend who used to edit Modern Drummer magazine, and he just released a Neil Peart video, which is pretty cool. It's getting a lot of attention. But he says, Baby Dodds maybe talks about time as like, time's something that's important for us to own. We don't leave that up to the drummer. The job of the drummer is to bring a good spirit to the group and to provide a good spirit to the band. Okay? So we have to own our own time, number one. And number two, I like to tune with the metronome on or off. I have no preference, but I'm going to leave it set so that we can get used to hearing 80 beats per minute. Okay? And I like to do that because it takes our bodies a second to just adjust, you know what I mean? So what I'll do is, I've got this new strap that I just purchased, an Ibanez RG420 HP something or other. It's a blue guitar with a fade into a different color. It's a beautiful guitar. So this strap came with it because it's an RG series is a shredder's guitar, right? And you got to have the lightning bolt strap. I thought I'd make use of it today. Also, I'm using one of these. It's broken, it's busted up. I've been using this since the beginning, since I've started teaching, guitar professionally. And started a few programs here around our lovely state. And what I'd like to do now is just start talking about tuning the guitar. You should be able to hear that. I have my microphone up here. It's the A at 440 cycles per second. And that note is the same note. I'll dial this up to about maybe 70% volume. And that note is supposed to be fret 5 natural harmonic on the A string. A at 440 cycles in 1 second, right? So you probably know what A440 is. And if you don't, you know now. So what I'm going to do is put the ball end in my teeth, and I'm a little flat, obviously. So here's the sound. And then if you put it in the ball of your teeth, you can't hear it. Your friend can't hear it, but you can hear it because it vibrates your cranium. I'm going to go through the first checks of tuning. Once I have the A in, A is set, I'm not going to touch it again. I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to get these close, basically with frets 5 and 7 natural harmonics. What I'm doing is I've moved away from 5 on the D string and 7 on the next string above it. I've moved away from those in order to get the B string, because it's tuned a half step lower. I have to run up to the D string on fret 7 natural harmonic and then play the open B string on fret number 10 on the B string. And we'll repeat that same thing for the G string in order to tune the high E string. Then I'll come back and grab the low E string. We can hear we're down a little bit here. I'm just going to take that metronome down a little bit. It doesn't have to be loud. It just has to be loud enough so that we can hear the click, All right, so 5th fret, I'm tuning, or low E string, I'm going to tune to the 7th fret harmonic, natural harmonic on the A string by playing fret 5 natural harmonic on the low E string. And that's pretty close right now, right? Another thing that helps if you're not on that pickup is to be selected on your bridge pickup if you're playing electric guitar. This tuning method also works for acoustic guitar or any stringed instrument. It's a system of checks and balances. I learned this from an old friend, Tom Hoffman, who was no longer with us, but God rest his soul. He was a beautiful guitar player and shared a lot of information with a lot of people. So if I tune... Oh, I've got a little problem with my electronics on this guitar, right? Right, so I have to have that looked at. So now what I'll do is I'll double check this situation with the A string. And the guitar, this sounds good. The guitar I'm playing is a Gibson ES 339, and it's the Memphis version. So it's kind of it's got the Memphis wires in it. So I kind of want to pay attention to it. I don't want it to fall into disrepair, right? So we have to maintain our things. That's a part of the deal. So you can hear those aren't really tuned. So we're going to go through one more time real quick. I'm going to double check with fret 12 on the A string, natural harmonic. I'm going to balance out on fretted note 7 on the D string, right? So A, natural harmonic, and fretted D string, that's a little flat. But when we fret the string, we want to be sure that the string is very gingerly pressed. We don't want to press it too hard because we can bend it up and out of tune. And that will throw our ears off. And it will definitely throw the well-calibrated ear in the audience off. So we're just taking little steps here. I would speed this up, but I just wanted to let you know this is the tempo that things, progress at. And the more you tune your guitar, the more we tune our guitars, the better we get, and it's a little easier, a little faster. But tuning the guitar so that it sounds in tune is really satisfying. So we've got a beautiful D chord there, a beautiful G add 9 or G sus2, a G sus4. Okay. So now we're ready to begin, and I always begin sort of on the neck pickup. It's just a personal preference thing. My tone's dialed down to about 50% or 60% or whatever that sweet little spot is, and I'm starting with finger 1 on fret number 1 on 9th fret. And we would normally do like quarter notes. If I was encouraging a beginner to start practicing this, we would have already, if you're a student of mine, you already know that we've moved beyond this, some other exercises that precede this. And then we would come down, with fingers 4, 3, 2, 1, but really careful to produce quality tone each and every pluck. This is a practice that I have shared with a lot of people. And then once we get there, we go through all of those notes again with fingers 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the next position down. Only when we get to finger 4, we can shift position and we don't need to play each position twice, right? Up and down. We can go ascend one and then descend the next. So for example, I'll continue descending this pattern, and when we reach finger 1 on the low E string on fret number 7, we go down to 6 and then begin with a 1, 2, 3, 4 on the next position 6. Okay? So those are all downstrokes. Let's assume for a minute that you've taken the time to practice all of those downstrokes all the way to fret number 1 and all the way back up to fret number 9 from whence we came. Then we would go through and use only upstrokes, because upstrokes, that's a different muscle set, right? And so most of us, we have a tendency to want to skip over the fundamentals and the basic stuff and get right into playing Led Zeppelin or a Khalid song or whatever, whatever the song might be, or Money for Nothing. That's a great guitar line. You can learn that guitar part in this guitar lesson that I have posted earlier up in the tabs, or in the tab above, But upstrokes are great, and then it's really important to practice all of those all the way down to fret 1 and all the way up to fret 9 again. There is no secret sauce, but what we do get is we get that moment with our own person, and we get to spend some quality time being a guitar player, right? We're being guitarists now. So that's important to us. That's important to our friends and our family. We become, more balanced people. We become skilled. We can share our skill with the world and really just do some good, okay? So this is why we put a little extra effort into our kit bag, right? So we're going to take it up a notch, and I'm going to use, instead of eighth note or quarter notes with only downstrokes or only upstrokes, we're going to start here today with this. Eighth notes. And then I'm really balancing my right hand. I'm trying to control the loudness or the pressure I'm putting on the pick so that I don't have, notes bottoming out, or when you'll see when we get to the high E string, I have this set for really low action. It gets a little poppy and crackly up there if you put a little too much effort on the high E string, and Django Reinhardt was always really good about getting up to the upper register of his guitar and not feeling the need to just really rail it. You know, he always had this sort of, you know, really nice appreciation, a really nice relationship with the upper strings of his guitar. He didn't smash them, you know, he didn't feel the need to crush them. More, I get better tone, I think, if you're able to just study the right hand and be continuous with your pressure, right? So we've reached fret 1, so now we ascend back to position number 9. And we are going to enjoy this. So I'm going to keep this exercise going. And once you feel like you could play along, you go right ahead. It's really important also to maintain a good positive breathing cycle. And the breathing cycle is not related to it's not necessarily related to what we're playing on the guitar neck, right? Our breathing cycle is related to what we're dealing with physiologically in our bodies. That way we keep our circulatory system working appropriately. We can continue to oxygenate all of the tissue that we need to provide oxygen to in order to become, you know, guitar players. Okay, so I hope you're still sticking around. What we're going to do next is a variation of what we just did. And then we have another exercise coming up that's another 4-finger exercise, but it's a practical exercise. I learned this from a student friend at Berklee College of Music, and he was, you know, all about it. But for now, it's another 4-finger thing. We'll get into that in a minute. But we have this nice warm up that we completed. We're starting to get warm. Now is a good time to really stretch. And sorry to take up your time, your important YouTube time, but it's more important for us to, well, I can't say it's more important than your YouTube time. If you're going to be a guitar player, then it might be a good idea to observe the things that help us to become great guitar players over the course of a lifetime. And one of these things to observe is stretching. You know, I'm doing this junior high school calisthenic with an arm forward, and it's, you know, the elbow is not locked, you know, we're not overextending anything, but we just put the hand forward and we just kind of lightly pull on the fingertips. We don't give any, you know, we're not looking to create micro tears in the forearm, so we're not like yanking it back there, but just nice easy placement. There we are. I usually count 30 on those, so the whole exercise should take, you know, 2 minutes. Now we've got a little bit of a stretch going, and I use this point to re-engage with my breath and check my body for posture, because that's going to help us sustain a lifetime of activity, healthy activity, right? It could be active, but it could be like shit active. So 1 and 2 and 3, and now what we're doing is rolling each finger. Once we reach the 4th finger or the 1st finger, we're leaving enough of that finger, kind of smearing that finger on the next lower or higher string to roll over to the next string and descend. So ascend one string, descend the next string. And all of these we're really trying to create smooth, dynamic. I know it's legato is sort of form of playing that's, really exciting and fun to watch. But we're trying to make these notes as long as possible. And those position shifts are supposed to be, transparent. So the listener's ear would never be able to know when we're shifting positions. And again, we're looking for clarity. And we're really working on, when we do this on our own, is we're looking for clean tones and even tones. And we don't, the guitar will do the work for us. We don't need to pluck it hard. The guitar has a very generous, most guitars have a very generous dynamic range. And we're 2 frets away from where we started. So you can see this exercise doesn't take a whole lot of time, and you can provide yourself with variations of it. And I know this is very interesting to watch, but sometimes you have to go out in the world and do it for yourself. We have to do this for ourselves. Otherwise, we can't possibly own it just by continuing to watch, right? So here's another one that we use. I have 2 other ones that we use before we start getting into the harmonic study. And it's the diagonal pattern, right? And I picked this up in I think a Guitar World or Guitar for the Practicing Musician when I was younger. And it was in an article that was provided by Steve Vai, who is an amazing musician. And I usually go, if I have the reach, I'll go up to position 12 on this one and then descend. So we do 4, 3, 2, 1, and then slide, right? I think you see the pattern. So we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, descend, and then descend that, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then do 4, 3, 2, 1. So the pattern keeps inverting and does all this really cool stuff. Useful stuff because, down here, our fingers are spread a greater distance than they are up here. Up here, they look like this, and by the time you get down to position 1, you have a completely different mechanical problem to solve on the guitar. So we start with the B. It's the minor 7 arpeggio shape. But I only use the top 5 strings, sort of like you can thank this old buddy Andy for this. So we've got a 1, 4, 3, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, right? And the trick is to make this as musical as we can. Try to feel and create a little swell without popping the strings off of the guitar, so that we can maintain tonal clarity, right? I usually do this one up to fret 12 too if we have the opportunity or the reach or access to that number of frets. Then we always descend. I'm not going to give up because, everyone tells me I should make short, to the point YouTube videos. I think experiencing this entire passage is important because this is what happens to guitar players who, we spend our days, if we want to become, seriously approach the instrument and become great players someday, you know. And then maybe one day I'll be a decent player, you know. I'll be able to do something worthwhile, right? And then that one note to me is worthwhile. So we could start with something else, but we're going to do the typical. So we use all of the 1, 2, 3, 4 things. We're doing all of the typical things that I would do for, 15 minutes, 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, when I sit down with a guitar. If I have no time to do anything else, I just practice maintenance, right? And this is another thing that I do just to keep the scales under sequence here. So we have the major scale sequences, but they're going from major scale, right, up one perfect fourth each time. So if we begin with C on fret 8 on the low E string, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 2, right? So we have up a perfect fourth from C would be F, and then we would go up a perfect fourth from F and play B flat, and then E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, C flat, right? And so on until we find the beginning again. So we'll start with 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 1. And I'll try to grab every note in each position. Each position offers a nice and different fingering for us to become acquainted with. And then we're going up to B flat. And up to E flat. And to keep this tone even on each string, A flat is an endeavor. D flat. We'll just start with that one, with the descent. G flat. And then C flat or B. So we just keep going around the circle of fourths until we reach fret number 1, or fret number 2, right? Is 2 or 3 is about as low as we can go. But I would continue to do that, and then sometimes what happens is I like to do that. Remember that finger roll exercise we did when we were working through the 1, 2, 3, 4s? I like to do that here. Here we go. And if we make mistakes, that's fine. Just as long as we're aware of what's going on, we can correct it. Just keep maintaining that breathing, and everything will be fine. So that's the kind of thing that we shoot for. Now I feel warmed up and I feel ready to start practicing new things, right? So for example, I might just work on minor pentatonic stuff and parallel planing that stuff on another day. So we're getting warm, we're here, we're enjoying the guitar, and I hope you enjoy the guitar session today. So one final thing that we're going to do after we complete that practice is just be sure to take the cloth that you keep in your guitar case, the lint-free cloth, and go ahead and just take care of the guitar, take care of the instrument. We get the towel here, and then we just kind of pinch each string and just kind of get the fingernail under the string, and just keep the towel running the full length of the string up and down each string, and you'll feel, you know, where strings are starting to get pitted by frets, and maybe it's time to start considering, you know, a repair or replacement of the strings. I'm not one to run out and replace strings all the time. I just take care of the guitar like this. Anywhere my fingers come in contact with it. And this is something that, you know, professional musicians will take the time to do. You can breathe on it a little bit if there's a stubborn piece of something there, but, you know, I don't. Maybe lemon pledge once in a while or something. Or I've got a bunch of bottles left of the old Jim Dunlop Formula 65 or whatever it was, and I like that once in a while. But I don't use that stuff a whole lot. I turn the volume down, make sure I have enough room for the guitar to sit properly on its stand, and then I go happily on my way to the next part of the day. So thanks for sticking around, and I hope you enjoyed this time. And we'll see you next time, I guess, right? Is that how this works? I know I'm supposed to be more exciting and more thrilled to share things with you that, you know, you can go check through my YouTube channel, check the website, sign up for this or that. And if you want to, you'll do that. You know, if you want to continue perusing around, you'll go ahead and do that. I feel confident with that. If you want to, you will choose to. And if not, we won't. So I hope you have a good time. I'm just going to let this video run full length, uncut, because that's kind of what I'm going to do with this. And stretch 2, get those stretches done again. If you stuck around this long, what you realize is that learning the guitar isn't contrary to what everyone suggests. It's not to really learn the guitar, to learn the language of the guitar or any other musical instrument or any other endeavor, calculus, whatever. We have to put in the time and schedule that time for growth and development. Otherwise, we never own it. We can think about it, but we never own it. So until next time, happy picking.